What up? To all rappers, shut up, and while you shutting up, put a shirt on, at least a button up. Yuck. As they rappers are stripping males out of work jerking since they shut down shipping down.
One of these people walked into fashion as an owner. The other walked in as a guest. A$AP Rocky has been called a fashion icon since 2011. He was name-dropping Rick Owens and Raf Simons in his debut single. He sat front row at Paris Fashion Week before most designers knew his name. In 2016, he became the first person of color to front Dior Homme. But here's what the timeline doesn't show you. Before that legitimacy was recognized by fashion houses, he was still modeling for Guess, doing campaigns for DKNY, appearing in Calvin Klein's I Speak My Truth campaign. A decade of proving himself to an industry that already knew who he was. Rick Owens never had to do that. He walked in as a designer, as a creator, as someone who owned his work. Rocky had to earn his way in as a rapper first. Let me say something that might make people uncomfortable. The fashion industry has always had a gate, and that gate swings open differently depending on who you are and what you bring. If you're a designer, especially a white designer from a prestigious fashion school, you walk in. You're assumed to have taste. You're assumed to have vision. You're assumed to own your creative direction. If you're a rapper, especially a black rapper from Harlem, you don't walk in. You're invited, and that invitation can be revoked. You're a collaborator, a face, a muse, not an owner. Notice the language: face, stars in, collaborates with, appears in. He's never the brand. He's always in the brand. That's the difference between renting and owning.
Hey, my nigga, on the real. Hey, stop texting me. Don't call me with all that old weird. Hey, bros, hey, facts. It's big facts, bro. I'm facts. I'm in LA. Let's link up. Facts. No, my nigga, pause. I don't care how much they paid you. That nigga thought he could just post that shit in China. Like, oh, yeah, y'all good. It's facts in China, bro. It's facts. And he thought he could post it. That nigga Rocky posted that UV. Pause, nigga.
In 2019, A$AP Rocky appeared in Calvin Klein's I Speak My Truth campaign. The campaign featured him in his underwear, on billboards, on Instagram, everywhere. And his longtime collaborator Schoolboy Q clowned him for it. Not because the photos were bad, because of what it represented. Schoolboy Q posted on Instagram, said Rocky needed to lose his phone number, said he was booted from the mob, joked that golfing had taken over. It was playful, but the subtext was real. Here's what was happening. A$AP Rocky, the same guy who rapped about Rick Owens and Raf Simons, was now posing in his underwear for a mainstream brand. And his own people were asking, is this what you had to do? That's the trap. That's the gate. You want legitimacy? You want the campaigns? You want the front row seats? Then you play the game. You wear what they tell you. You pose how they want. You wait for them to validate you. And your peers watch. And they judge. And they wonder if you sold something to get in. Rick Owens never had to pose in his underwear. Let me show you the timeline, because the numbers tell the story. 2011, peso drops. Rocky name drops Raf Simons, Rick Owens, Maison Martin Margiela. He's 22 years old. 2014, DKNY campaign. He's 25, modeling for a mainstream brand. Still a face, not a designer. 2016, Guess collaboration. His first real design work. He reworks the logo with a Guess motif. Directs the video himself. But he's still collaborating with a brand that owns everything. 2016, same year. Dior Homme. First person of color to front the brand. Historic. But again, he's the face. Not the creative director. Not the owner. 2019, Calvin Klein. Underwear campaign. Schoolboy Q clowns him. He's 30 years old. A decade into his career. Still renting space. 2024. Finally, AWGE, his creative agency, presents its first fashion show in Paris. Not a collaboration, not a face campaign. his own work, his own vision. 13 years. 13 years from peso to walking into fashion as an owner. Rick Owens had his first runway show in 2002. He was 40, but he owned it from day one. He didn't need a rapper's credibility to get in the room. Rocky had to build a music career first, then a cultural reputation, then a fashion reputation, then collaborations, then campaigns, then, finally, his own platform. That's not the same path. That's not even the same sport. Here's why this matters beyond Rocky. Every creator faces this same dynamic, just in different industries. The YouTuber who has to prove themselves to Netflix before Netflix lets them make a real show. The writer who has to build a Substack following before a book publisher takes them seriously. The musician who has to go viral on TikTok before a label offers a deal. The visual artist who has to get Instagram famous before a gallery calls. The gate is always the same. It says, "Prove you have value, then we'll let you in. But we'll own the terms." That's what Rocky lived. A decade of proving, a decade of waiting, a decade of being someone else's face before he could be his own. And here's the part that should scare you. Even after all of that, even after Dior, even after Calvin Klein, even after a decade of being undeniable, Rocky still had to build AWGE himself. No one handed him ownership. He had to take it. That's the lesson. Not collaborate harder, not get bigger campaigns. Build your own table. Because the people at the existing table are not saving you a seat. Today, Rocky is creative director of Ray-Ban Studios. He collaborates with Moncler Genius. He has a Puma X F1 partnership. Chanel just named him a house ambassador in 2026. He made it. But look at how long it took. And look at what he had to do to get there. He didn't just show up with talent. He showed up with a decade of receipts. And even then, he had to build AWGE himself to truly own his vision. That's the thesis of everything I talk about. Most creators are building on land they don't own. Fashion, music, YouTube, Substack. It doesn't matter. If you don't own the platform, you don't control the outcome. Rocky understood that. That's why he built AWGE. That's why he's now sitting on both sides of the table, creator and owner. I got demonetized. That was my Calvin Klein underwear moment. Not literally, but the feeling was the same. I realized I was renting space, and the landlord could evict me anytime. So I started studying ownership, not content, not growth hacks. Ownership, where the value actually lives, who controls it, how you keep it. I built a simple audit that maps your 3 biggest risks. Where are you exposed? What can they take from you? What can you do today to own more? Link in description. First 5 people get it free. Ownership is the new leverage.